idea of banning styrofoam in Alaska.
How much it would cost and how likely it is to happen.
Drag show canceled. I'm Alex Bengal in Fairbanks, examining all sides of the Tanana Valley State Fair Board's decision that has divided the community.
And snow is in the forecast. I'll show you when and where.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
A new House bill is taking a closer look at Alaska restaurants' use of styrofoam.
Investigative reporter Johnson Kuhn spoke with sponsors of that bill and Anchorage business owners to learn the impacts.
Styrofoam, good for holding your to-go food, but bad for the environment. If a new House bill introduced this year should pass, Alaska will be telling to-go containers like these to go away permanently. House Bill 25 would prohibit restaurants from using polystyrene foam, or also known as styrofoam, for prepared foods. It would also ban statewide use and purchase of the disposable food product as well. An aide for Representative Andy Josephson says the ultimate goal of the bill is to only address the most serious effects of styrofoam. But some restaurants worry about the bottom line.
Well, if it's better for the environment, I don't know much on biodegradable material, but from what I do know, I've read that it's better, and I'm all for that. It's just being a manager of a restaurant is more of the cost, the effectiveness.
We're just looking at the use of polystyrene, styrofoam in disposable food service. There's other plastics, there's industrial uses of styrofoam, and we're not trying to go into that direction, but just trying to get some of the most egregious stuff out of the system.
The representative's office told me that they're hopeful that the bill will be making its way through the House soon and onto the Senate. And from there, if it ultimately passes, it would go into effect likely January 2026. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's news source.
And Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry joins us now with the forecast. Melissa, what's happening out there?
Yeah, we have been seeing beautiful sunny conditions, really nice for spring break, and we're seeing that really across most of the state. I want to show you the live view from Eagle River tonight. You can see that sun. It's high in the sky, hardly a cloud in view. We are seeing temperatures, though, coming down a little bit. 38 right now in Anchorage doesn't sound cool, especially by early March standards, but already a couple degrees cooler than we were this time yesterday, and we're starting to see those temperatures falling across the interior down to 20 degrees in Fairbanks and 10 below in Dead Horse, seeing temperatures holding in the low 20s from Nome into Bethel. Now, we are still seeing a little bit of light rain in Yakutat. It's been in and out in Juneau today, but otherwise dry conditions for much of the state, and it will hold that way tonight. But early tomorrow morning, we have a little disturbance that's starting to set up over the Copper River Basin, and that will bring in chances for snow from the Copper River Basin to the valley, even into Anchorage, all while temperatures continue to drop. In fact, we'll see temperatures in the low to mid 20s overnight with light snow showers in and out for your Wednesday. I'll have more details on how much snow you should expect where you are here in your full forecast in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Melissa. Covering the interior, weeks after the Tanana Valley State Fair Board said threats to staff meant they canceled a planned summer drag show, people there are reacting.
Yeah, Alex Bengal spent weeks examining last month's decision, revealing a still divided interior, debating where the LGBTQ plus community belongs and how different community members define the term family-friendly.
The Tanana Valley State Fair is not just significant to the interior. Founded in 1924, it's also Alaska's oldest state fair. This year, Executive Director Janae Campanelli says board members were in the early phases of talking about creating a family-friendly LGBTQ plus event.
We certainly don't discriminate, and we allow everybody into the fair as well as being a vendor.
To create the event, since December, Campanelli said fair staff had been working with a California-based company called Out at the Fair.
And our goal is to just spread inclusivity and acceptance through the fair industry.
Founder and CEO William Zakrajik told Alaska's news source Out at the Fair operates in 3 states. He showed us these pictures, saying it's designed to provide LGBTQ plus community members a safe space at state fairs across the country. And they had already reached out to Alaska performers about a drag show, what they call a glam show.
Usually there's like 3 or 4 kings or queens, and they'll pick some of their favorite numbers, like fun, upbeat anthems, And it's literally just the best lip sync show you'll ever see of your life.
We had no intention of exposing it to the public if they didn't want to come to the show.
Campanelli says the event was planned for a closed tent. People going would need a ticket. Anyone 17 and under would have to go with a parent or guardian. Then the threats started. Last month, the event was canceled.
We had a lot of negative, honestly, inappropriate comments that were starting to put the staff and potentially the entertainers in danger.
The decision has left the community divided over what the term family-friendly means.
I don't want my son to grow up confused.
I have children, and I've taken them to all ages drag shows, and it was perfectly fine.
Renam Kowalski is the director of the Fairbanks Queer Collective.
Instead of standing strong in support of inclusivity, they caved to the pressure from extremists that were opposed to LGBTQ people being out and visible at the fair.
Michael Scott, who grew up going to the fair and has a 1-year-old son. He says he called staff because he wanted the event canceled.
If the fairgrounds were going to allow it even for a day, I was not going to go and support them. I was not going to go there, give them any of my money.
It's never gotten to the point of where a board has decided to cancel something.
Zakrajik says the point of the event is to give LGBTQ plus members a safe space. Campanelli says she wishes the public would have given them more time.
I think the biggest piece is that, unfortunately, this information was not relevant to be released or talked about in the social media setting.
And as the community debate continues to play out over the decision to cancel the drag show here at the Tanana Valley State Fairgrounds in Fairbanks, one thing is clear. Organizers say the fair will go on as planned and will start at the end of July. Alex Bengal, Alaska's news source.
Still ahead, the latest from the Iditarod Trail, including a one-on-one with rookie musher Brenda Mackey.
Yeah, hear what she has to say about the decision to scratch in her own words as we get an update on one of her dogs on the mend.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Mushers in Iditarod 53 are about to hit the coast and run straight into all that comes with it. Jordan Rodenberger is live in Unalakleet tonight and shares how strategy is key at this point in the race. Jordan.
Yeah, Beth, an old Iditarod cliche is that the race doesn't start until you hit the western coast, and that's ringing pretty true once again this year as the top three have solidified themselves with the chase pack right on their tail. And here in Unalakleet, the strategy becomes much more crucial. Checking out the checkpoint earlier today, we saw a number of sleds that were dropped off here where mushers will be swapping those out for a little bit lighter of a sled, picking up some speed on that sea ice. While here in Unalakleet, you may also see mushers return dogs strategically, kind of finding their best 8, 9, 10 dogs to make that run to the finish line. Now, here are a couple notes from that top three. Holmes did make a stop to rest in between Caltag 2 and Unalakleet, so he may go through this checkpoint and camp out on the other side, which also goes the same for Hall, while Paige Drobny looking like she's going to make this 80-mile trek to Unalakleet without rest, so we may see her and the squids, as she likes to call them with Squid Acres Kennel, see them resting here in Unalakleet. But of course, we don't know anything about this until they arrive, so be sure to keep tuning in. We will have them arriving in the late edition, hopefully get a little bit of sound from them as well, but we'll be sure to see those three in by the late edition if all goes well. Back to you, Beth, in Anchorage in this beautiful Unalakleet. Man, this is awesome. We'll see you soon in late edition.
Thanks very much, Jordan. All right, not at the front, but toward it is veteran Nick Petit. Here he is arriving at Caltag with 14 dogs in harness. I should say Caltag 2, still there as of a little after 5 o'clock tonight. Now, his run from Eagle Island taking a little less than 9 hours, but the mileage starting about 20 miles out from that checkpoint, meaning a 90-mile straight effort for Nick Petit. Take a listen.
But look at resting in the sun. Yeah, at some point I got to put myself at the right time of the day, and no time like right here, because then I can do another long rest and another long run. They eat better when I do long runs, so now they're eating.
Different strokes for different folks, as they say. We'll get to our leaderboard momentarily, but let's talk about scratches this year. Iditarod rookie Brenda Mackey technically scratched last week, the first of more than a half dozen so far this race. But as Quinn White reports, there's been conflicting information on what exactly happened.
Winning each of these races.
I literally thought she was dying in front of me.
Iditarod officials originally reported Mackie scratched on Tanana with 14 healthy dogs in harness. Mackie and now Iditarod say that's not accurate. One of those dogs was in her sled and not healthy. She says she heard the emergency phone after one of her dogs, Jet, collapsed on the way.
And all my racing was never even looked at, and I pushed it. I shut that 5 times.
But official didn't come. She decided to turn around and attack Tanana.
By the time I get back, her eyes looked normal. She was able to stand, and I don't think it was really taken very seriously because she did look good when she got back to the checkpoint.
Mackie assumed her team's Iditarod run was over after using her emergency button.
I didn't even consider myself scratched. I thought I was disqualified for pushing my button on my tracker when I was trying to get help for my dog out on the trail, and so I just assumed I came back to the checkpoint that I had been disqualified.
Mackie says she thought she was signing forms saying she was disqualified for using her emergency button, but instead she says it was a form to scratch.
I mentioned I had pushed my button, and he said, well, we hadn't received any signal of that.
The Iditarod Trail Committee says that's because she didn't activate it correctly.
You know, I had this awful thing happen to my dog, and there was that, but then the aftermath of kind of the strange things like that afterwards kind of, you know, they do bother a person a little bit, yeah.
Mackie ultimately made the decision to fly Jet to Anchorage for further veterinary care. She says the dog's lab work shows abnormalities, and she's waiting for more test results. Quinn White, Alaska's news source.
The ITC sent out a prepared statement last week about Mackie's departure, but didn't respond to a request for an interview made by Alaska's news source today. Let's talk about the team still in this, though. This is the live tracker on Iditarod.com, which you can access with an Iditarod Insider subscription. The top 5 in this race now out of CalTag 2. You can see that on here right now. Mitch Seavey also moving out of there. The back of the pack is still on the special loop this year, with Quince Mountain currently resting in Grayling 1. Our trail crew joins us at 10 with the latest. We'll see you then here on Alaska's News Source.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's News Source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's News Source app.